Hello, lovely booktubers. Welcome back to Raina Reads Stuff. I'm Debs, and it's lovely to see you. And today I am very hot. It's about 30 degrees. Summer finally has arrived, and I'm moaning about it. It's particularly hot in the book shack. Um, Today I thought I'd talk to you about Shorty September, and here is the zine that was designed by Heather. I shall put Heather and Bert and Sian's details below should you want to join in. Shorty September is all about reading short books, and this scene includes the 12 prompts for the books, all of which are based on types of shorts that you wear. It's good fun. I've done really well. I've filled this all in. Quite quickly, using books also that I've been mainly using for other stuff, but I thought I'd talk you through them. I did a video, I think it was at the weekend, it might have been Monday, with the first lot of books that I've done. Since then, I have completed this, so I'll go through the ones that I haven't mentioned before. Spanx is the first section, is the first prompt, and Spanx is a book with magic or witchcraft. So I had downloaded loads of trashy stuff for Garb August, and this was one of the leftovers of that. I had downloaded something called the Mending Magic Series 1, which was a trilogy of 3 books by W.J. May. I read the first one, which was called Lost Souls. I'm guessing it was designed for a YA audience. It was okay. It was a bit of fun. It didn't take very long. I don't know whether I'll read the other 2 or not. I probably wouldn't have read this one if it wasn't for a magic prompt in here. It's about a world where there are magic people who have magic powers, and the government has decided to wipe them out. And it features the son of head supernatural power witch hunter and his neighbour, who also has supernatural powers. Her parents have disappeared. They've either been, you don't find out in the book, but they've either been scooped up by the people who are trying to catch them, or they're in hiding somewhere. Um, like I say, it was okay. Not really for me, to be fair. Hoochie Daddy Shorts was the next one. Spicy read, a revealing gossipy biography. I went for a book called Wired by Evelyn Adams. Again, it was a leftover Garb August one. Now, I don't mind reading erotica or spicy novels, but the ones that I chose for Garb August, and that was this one, Wired by Evelyn Adams, their sole purpose is to it seems to me, to get as many different slang words for genitalia on a page as possible. So there was a story in there, but the story just stopped at the end of the book, midway through an event, which I presume is intended to make me buy the next one, but it's not going to. It was vaguely irritating. that the story stopped a bit like, the cliffhanger at the end of an episode in a series. I stressed about it for about 30 seconds and then moved on with my life. Shorty Shorts was the 70s and 80s one. Half and Half Shorts was the read the book and watch the programme. I did those in my previous video. I did a comfort read, which is Mum Shorts. Rip Shorts was Hellboy, The Wild Hunt. Oh, this one. Elizabethan Shorts, a historical read. I chose this. Bruce Chatwin, the Viceroy of Ouidah, which is a city that was in Dahomey but is now in Benin. Bruce Chatwin is most well known for his travel writing and things like songlines. This I'd not read before, but I wanted to read it because it tied in with the time period for Historathon Q3. So it starts in the early 1800s with a guy called Francisco Manuel de Silva. He has various adventures in Brazil. He's really not getting anywhere fast when he decides to go over to Africa to see if he can set himself up in the slave trade. Now, he ends up living there. The story is told through in an enormous number of illegitimate offspring that he has, who gather together every year on the anniversary of his death to celebrate him. His closest living offspring is a granddaughter who is now in her 90s, and she still lives in the house that he built in Ouidah, and she tells his story. I enjoy the way Bruce Chatwin writes. Obviously, it's dealing with a time and selling people, which is not on. But he knows that. And there's a fair bit of that in the book. It's very short. I found it very interesting. It was a little bit dry in places. There's no dialogue. It's just a narrative. But it was interesting. I'm glad I read it. Then we did the Lederhosen one in last week's video. We also did, Lederhosen was the book in translation. Pedro Pascal Shorts, which is an unexpected purchase. I did read another one. For my unexpected purchase, I chose these, the Penguin Moderns. There's 50 of them. This one is what number is it? 31. I read 28, 29 and 30 at the beginning of the week, and this one. Francoise Sagan, the Gigolo. When I was a teenager, I loved Francoise Sagan works. Now I find the characters are all very much the same. This is a series of, was it 4 short stories? Yes, 4. The first one being the titular, the Gigolo. And you get characters that are full of ennui, there's just that boredom in them, and it doesn't make them particularly likeable, I don't think. I still enjoy her writing. I find it's almost, I could almost have used these for a comfort read, because it is like a comfort blanket reading Francoise Sagan for me, because of the nostalgia of reading it when I was a teenager. But these didn't really add to my appreciation of her. shall we say. There's a couple more that I hadn't done. Oh, yes. So the Dolphin Shorts, a book with water on the cover. This was interesting. It's a book by Susan Hill called The Albatross. It's a novella, and it's a look at the life of a man who has some educational needs, and he lives with his mother, who has had an accident and is in a wheelchair, but she treats him like an incompetent small child. And although he does have some special needs, he's perfectly capable of doing many things for himself. But she has forced him to become very insular and not to speak to other people. He does have a job, which is like a handyman, a gardener at a big house, and has almost a relationship with the head gardener there, but not quite. Um, his only other, the only other person who looks out for him properly is an old woman tramp who walks up and down the seashore, appears, disappears, pushing a pram full of all of her worldly goods. But it's a really gentle, interesting study of how people can be just suppressed, I suppose, and they want to fight back but don't know how, and they end up in a situation where they do things that they know they shouldn't, but they can't see any alternative. Very interesting book. Thoroughly enjoyed that. The last one for this was Denim Shorts, a modern classic, and I chose Pippi Longstocking. Sorry, that's the next one. I chose Dylan Thomas, Portrait of the Artist as a Young Dog. This was great. This is several short vignettes about his life when he was younger, before he became famous, because he was still writing throughout this book. And it's set in and around Swansea, and also in other places that he visited, so the coast and things like that. And it starts off when he's quite young, and it talks about him and his friends and the things they get up to. Um, you can sense a poet in the stories, the sentence structure and the language he chooses. It's very, very precise. Um, I find his poetry sometimes a bit difficult, but these were lovely, absolutely lovely. And yeah, all of them were. They added something to what I knew about Dylan Thomas, which was also nice. Now, back to Pippi Longstocking. I read that just because I wanted to read it, because it's a Swedish book, and I'm doing my I'm starting on my long-term project, which is to read around the world. Um, I love Pippi Longstocking. I read these when I was a kid. I read them to my children when they were kids. Just the idea of an irreverent child is just brilliant when you're that sort of age. In this, Pippi is 9. She lives on her own. There's no parents. She does what she likes. She refuses to go to school. Well, she went to school, but they didn't like her much either, so they probably all agreed that she should stay away from school. It's just good fun. It's good fun. And Astrid Lindgren is a wonderful writer, and I think books like that stand the test of time, and I would quite happily read it to children now. Only I don't have any that are old enough to read to or young enough to read to. So I've been going through my bookshelves, and in addition to the 29 Penguin Moderns I have got to work through at some point before the end of the year, I've got a big pile here of different stuff that I thought I could enjoy for the rest of Shorty September, which I'm loving, by the way. So, Up the Junction, Nell Dunn, really gritty, based in London, about three friends dealing with abortion. I watched, there's a docu film that was made shortly after this book came out called Up the Junction, and I think that's on Channel 4 or More 4 at the moment. So I was watching that the other day and it was really good. Um, she also wrote a book called Poor Cow, which, again, gritty, London based, working class people, their trials and their tribulations. They're just really well done. I like them. The Guest Cat, I have read before. This is by Takashi Hiradi. Um, I've been wanting to read it again for a long time, and it's, what's the page count on there? It's about 150. Nope, I lie. 136. Dag Solstad. You see that? Professor Anderson's Night. There you go. This I haven't read, and I still haven't read it, but I'm hoping to by the end of September. Tove Jansson's Letters from Clara. That goes in with the Swedish theme. Tove Jansson, creator of the Moomins, brilliant writer, artist, cartoonist. Um, I've got a couple of manga that my stepson has lent me. This one, Gunslinger Girl by Ouidah, and Helsing by Kota Hirano. My stepson is a big fan of manga. I'm trying to read some different genres. I thought I'd give those a try. Wrong pile. Those go on that one. This also I found in a bookshop, and it looked a second-hand bookshop. It looks great. The Caddy and the Fortune Teller by Nabil Saleh, and it's set in Beirut, and Nabil was based in Beirut and London and was a lawyer, and he's an expert on Islamic law. So this is Beirut in the 1970s, where a manuscript is discovered that is from the Ottoman Empire, about 1857. Sounds interesting. One of my favourite authors, a book I haven't read, The Red Pony, looking forward to that. Another of my favourite authors, Hemingway, The Snows of Kilimanjaro, short stories in that one. This is a Norwegian author who was voted one of the very best. I don't know how you pronounce his name. I think it's Tage Visas. And this is The Ice Palace. This is one of my favourite books of all time. One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich. It's an incredible story. It's by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. It's a story about a man who is in a Siberian camp, and it's very, very good. And then I'm midway through this one, God on the Rocks by Jane Gardam, that I bought solely because I like the cover. It hasn't gripped me yet. It might do. Who knows? Who knows? It might do. So there's still plenty more on the shelves if I run out. But Shorty September is just such a fabulous idea, and it was just quite a great opportunity to go through the bookshelves and just pull out anything that looked less than 200 pages. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. And if you're also participating in Shorty September, what are you reading? Is it fun? I hope so. If you'd like to like and subscribe, I would very much appreciate that. Thank you to all the new subscribers. It's very lovely to have you with us here. I'm looking forward to getting to know you and getting to chat to you about bookish things. So I will catch up with you probably Sunday when I will talk about the rest of the books I've read this week and the other reading events that I've signed up for this month that I said I wasn't going to do. But it turns out they're really interesting and good fun, and I can't resist. So I'll tell you about those in the next video. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you again soon.